Welcome to Sacred Cow Shipyards, where no ship is safe from being called a piece of ship. So in case you haven't already noticed, this channel doesn't really do the whole, sponsored by bullshit that so many other channels do. It's just not what we do here. But occasionally I come across things that I do feel like I should call out because they're just so fucking awesome. And today we're going to start with one of those. When I'm not busy trying to keep the whiners happy in the shipyards and telling the whiners to fuck off here on YouTube, I do occasionally find the time to play some your video games, mostly because it's an interesting concept that your planet seems to have really specialized in over the years. I suppose it's better than y'all shooting each other, which also seems to be a popular pastime that pops up periodically. Anyways, speaking of shooting things, if you haven't seen it already, allow me to introduce you to the utter madness that is called Mothergunship. Okay, yeah, silly name, I get it, totally understand. However, the entire concept of the game basically boils down to take a gun, bolt some more guns on it, and shoot the shit out of a lot of things. And really, if I had cause to have an aesthetic, it would basically boil down to take a gun and bolt a whole lot of fucking guns to it. Because why not? And apparently you humies had the same basic idea back when you were fighting the Dilgar War before the Babylon 5 series. Because you managed to create the Nova-class Dreadnought. Yeah, take a look at that fucker. It's 1.5 kilometers of good old-fashioned human fuck you. It mounts somewhere between 18 and 22, depending on who you talk to, twin plasma cannons. They literally just started bolting fucking turrets onto it. They had to give it pylons to bolt more fucking turrets onto it, because more Dakka, more better. And then on top of that, because apparently that wasn't enough Dakka, it also has 6 particle beam cannons. 2 in the front, 4 in the rear, depending on the configuration, because, human ships did a lot of running periodically, so it's always good to cover your ass. Oh, but wait, there's more! More Dakka, more Dakka, more Dakka. There's actually 2 fusion missile launchers somewhere tucked into that thing somewhere. I have no idea where. Oh, also, but wait, there's more. It carries 36 Star Furies. 36 of them. Holy fuck. The Babylon 5 station itself, which is 8 kilometers long, only carries 48 Star Furies. And this fucking tank carries 36 by itself. And just in case that wasn't enough Dakka, if you wanted little Dakka, this thing can also carry 8,000 ground pounders on board. 8,000! Holy goddamn fuck on a rocket-propelled crutch! The crew's only 250 and you're gonna pack 8,000 more people into that fucking sardine can? Damn! They're gonna be real good friends by the time they get wherever they're going, or a lot of them's gonna be dead knowing you humans. Either way. I guess to put that in perspective, Earth's currently largest amphibious assault ship, which is decidedly not amphibious, it's a weird naming system, is about 250 meters long, so it's 1/6 the length of the Nova, and it manages to carry about 1,700 Marines in addition to its 1,000-person crew. So I guess once you scale it up, the numbers kind of make sense, but it's still a butt-ton of squishies to all pack in one tiny little space floating through space. Well, yeah. Okay, so we've gone through all the terribly impressive specifications on this particular ship. How did it all turn out? Well, actually, not that bad. Y'all humies did win the Dilgar War, of course, but that was probably going to happen even if you used sticks and stones, to be perfectly honest. And then y'all technically won the Minbari Earth War, and this thing actually put up a decent showing during that. No, it's fucking numerous gun turrets couldn't actually lock onto the Minbari ships, but when your gunners actually sat down and tried to actually point the guns at the enemy ships instead of trusting their targeting computers, these things can actually pump out an impressive amount of damage in a ridiculously short period of time, and we're able to account a couple kills and a whole lot of paint scratching. So that's a win. And really, these fuckers were still in active service 40 years later during the Babylon 5 TV series. So they had to be at least somewhat competent at their jobs, because, 40 years is not terribly long for your current surface Navy fleets, but it's getting up there. Now, of course, technically, the Novas were eventually replaced by the Omegas, but the Omegas were actually built on the same basic star frame as the Novas. They just added that whole rotational section, took away basically all the turrets, and changed up some of the interior details. So, again, the design has some merit, otherwise it wouldn't have just stuck around. Well, that's not actually technically true. Your Earth militaries are just replete with horrific fucking stories of absolutely bastard designs sticking around just because no one wants to do anything better, and whoever is cranking these shitbirds out by the billions gets paid trillions of your currency to do it. So hopefully Earth moved past that by the time Babylon 5 happened. Probably not, though, given President Clark. And really, though, when you look at the design, it's not that hard to understand why it stuck around. I mean, yes, it technically looks like it's configured optimally for a broadside engagement, because, yeah, it can bring at least 9 of its turrets to bear on a broadside target, assuming that the side-mounted turrets actually have enough elevation to actually engage targets that are abeam the ship. But actually, when you look at it from the front profile, it can also bring in 8 of those turrets plus its 2 beam emitters. There's basically no safe angle on this thing. I mean, technically, if you're directly astern of it, you can get into a blind spot of all of the turrets, but then you've got the 4 beam emitters chewing up your face. That's not exactly a win either. Really, about the only way you could actually make a dent in this thing, because you certainly don't want to go toe-to-toe with it, broadside to broadside, or even bow to bow, is probably with fighters. And again, that's why it has 36 fucking Star Furies on board, because it doesn't like fighters, because it actually doesn't have any fighter defense turrets mounted onto it. It does have the standard Babylon 5 defense grid energy projector doohickeys, which are basically little tiny guns that shoot the energy bolts on their way to the target ship and dissipate them somehow. And technically those do work against fighters to some extent. They're not best, and still, they probably have a butt ton of blind spots with all these turrets waving around engaging the capital ships. And really, it's those turrets that make this thing one of the most convincing human-type warships in your modern cinema history. I mean, yes, the ship has massive shortcomings. For example, it doesn't have any artificial gravity at all. It doesn't even have simulated artificial gravity. That came with the Nova-X and the Omega classes. The spinny can around the middle. This thing doesn't have any of that, so the humies on board are just floating around fucking off the entire way to their destination, which is generally not good for your squishy little bodies. And likewise, it doesn't even have gravitic drives. It still has the reaction drives that are not terribly dissimilar from what you're using right now. But also, on top of that, what it actually has that makes it stand out as distinctly human is turrets. A fucking lot of turrets. I mean, I don't think any one of your military designers has ever looked at a warship and gone, you know what I think that ship needs? Fewer turrets. It typically goes the other fucking way. It needs all more turrets. It needs all the turrets. We need turrets on turrets, for fuck's sake. Yes, that is a thing y'all do. Well, did. It was fairly popular during the whole pre-Dreadnought era, during the late 1800s, early 1900s by your calendar. The United States Kearsarge class is a perfect example of this, where they strapped a double 8-inch gun turret on top of a double 13-inch gun turret. It didn't work so well, but hey, turrets on turrets, man, what do you want? And then, on top of that, because, again, more turrets, more better, the Kearsarge actually had 14 5-inch guns, 7 on each side, in casemates, that were meant to be broadside-type engagement weapons. Hey, just like the Nova. Again, more turrets, more better, more Dakka. And then, just in case that wasn't enough, y'all humies have this fixation about cramming all the possible guns you can into any given turret. I mean, for fuck's sake, sometime around the same era as a Kearsarge, some Italian nutbag was drawing up designs for a battleship that had a 5-gun turret. Actually, it had 2 5-gun turrets. The fuck, man? And it wasn't just 5 guns in a row like you have on, well, you don't have any battleships floating anymore, but like the last generation of battleship used to have, where you just had the 3 guns in a row and you were done. No, it wasn't 5 guns in a row. It was 3 guns in a row and then 2 guns in a row on top of those 5. Now, I guess the good news is technically, since they're offset, each of the 5 guns could have a different elevation setting and they wouldn't exactly conflict with each other. But still, what the hell? And this fixation on more turrets, more better doesn't even stop with warships where you think it actually would. Oh no, the island nation-state of Japan had this utterly ridiculous tank called the O-I. It didn't have just 1 turret. It didn't have just 2 turrets. It didn't even have just 3 turrets. Oh no, it had 4 entirely separate disjoint turrets. Now, 2 of them got in each other's way a lot, and the whole vehicle never actually happened. They built one prototype and kind of gave up on the whole damn thing. For good reason! But still, this is basically what I'm driving towards. The Nova is a perfect example of the human tendency to strap all the fucking guns they can to something and just send it shooting off into space. Because, I mean, more Dakka, more better, right? And that's all from Sacred Cow Shipyards. Please be advised that any ship left on the docks for more than 24 hours will be compressed to a cube. Have a nice day.